Hello guys, and welcome to a new Steel Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you game 1 in a best of 3 between YueJin and ZhukoDim. This is round 2 of the Great Paradox Tourney. So previously we've seen ZhukoDim defeat Amber T in a best of 3 in round 1, and YueJin defeated Light Rare in his best of 3 in round 1. So both players doing quite well to get themselves to round 2, and I know that both players are very experienced at the game, so it'll be interesting to see how that works out in these coming games in the series. Let's have a look at the map though. We are on Cheux today, and ZhukoDim is going to be rolling out with the 2nd Infantry on the Allied side, and on the Axis side we have YueJin with the 9th Panzer. So two divisions that are quite popular in the tournament so far, especially the 2nd Infantry. We've seen them an awful lot, and I think it's just their use of both 1200 meter range fire support plus, you know, elite infantry and quite a good variance of units that lead to strong support for the units. Whereas on the 9th Panzer side, a lot of people play that, I think, just because some of the units, especially things like the looks, can be very, very strong if they find a breakthrough early on in the game. So, for example, with like the 9th Panzer, what you want to do is maybe try and kill the AT guns that your opponent has with some sort of mortar maybe, and then you can literally drive all over your enemy with the 20mm autocannons on things like the looks. You have the machine guns on the Panzer 1C, and just lots of units that can really take advantage of a salient. So let's have a look at what's happening on ZhukoDim's side of things anyway. We have the rifles in the bottom side, rifles going towards the town there with an M4DD, going to be 2 units actually. Then we have a 3rd or 4th unit there. Another unit of rifles heading towards the centre with the command infantry and a jeep with an AT gun. AT gun towards the top with another command unit nearby. And what looks like Ranger Marauders, plus another rifle squad heading to the very top side. Over on the side of YueJin, however, we have a Marder 3 for the top, with a recon, likely spear troop, with what looks like Panzergrenz and a command infantry there. In the centre of the map, it's going to be an AT gun, supported by another spear troop, more Panzer Grenadiers, and then Panzer Grenadiers to the bottom side with a Panzer II Lux and a command infantry, and at the very bottom the spear troop. So both players spreading out quite evenly by the looks of things across the board, and there's going to be 1 versus 1 really in this town. Well, maybe 2 versus 1, with the 2 rifle squads there versus the 1 unit of Panzer Grenadiers plus command, of course. But they do have the Panzer II Lux in the town there for YueJin. That Lux, if it gets really close to this M4, could penetrate an M4 in the side armor, maybe even the front armor if it gets lucky. So we'll have to wait and see if that works out. But the win condition here really for YueJin is finding the kill onto this AT gun and exploiting that advantage. On the bottom side, it's taking out the M4. As for ZhukoDim, well, it's just destroying this Panzer II Lux really, and then using infantry micro properly to take over the town down here. And on the top side, it's more about this M1 gun finding the shot onto the Marder 3, or even the Ranger Marauders here finding a shot onto a significant unit. But we are currently at 50-50, nothing really changing at the start of this game, things remaining very even. So 2 units of Panzer Grenadiers coming to the town in the end, versus 3 units or 4 units of rifles. Both sides backed up by Ranger leaders, but definitely a numbers advantage for ZhukoDim. We'll have to wait and see if he can take advantage of that. The M4 is finding a shot towards the Panzer II Lux. This is not good for YueJin. YueJin needs to get out of the way of that main gun, and he will do, thanks to the speed of the Lux. Up on the top side, 251 is pushing forwards with the spear troop, 1 heading up here towards the Ranger Marauders. Here we go with the infantry engagement down the bottom side, rifles there, chunking the Panzer Grenadiers quite significantly actually, because we have what, 48 riflemen here versus 20 Panzer Grenadiers and the Panzergrenadier. And losing 3 men like that is actually quite a big deal versus this many rifles. I wonder if this engagement will continue to go in favor of ZhukoDim. At close range, rifles versus Panzergrenz. Rifles do actually have 8 HE versus the Panzergrenz 5. It's quite a big difference. And what ZhukoDim can also afford to do here is use his M4 as close fire support, whereas YueJin will be forced to keep hiding his tank if the M4 comes out to play. And that's exactly what you can see happening there. But a mortar is arriving in the top side. Let's have a look at what YueJin can see. He can see the AT gun. That is a big deal. 2-star mortar carrier coming up. If that can get the kill, it might cause that breakthrough I was talking about, especially with these 2 half-tracks that can exploit a salient early on. Down on the bottom side, Panzergrenz still engaging with the rifles. These Panzergrenz getting pretty low actually, and the Panzer II looks just not finding a place to go at the moment. More rifles going to start pushing up. Ranger leader there being kept on hold fire, just so that it doesn't reveal itself, because it's important that you keep the 1-star veterancy and also stop your units from surrendering. But here we have the mortar firing away towards where the M1 gun was, and we also see a Flampanzer coming down to the bottom. M5 gun has arrived in the center, which does take out one of the 251 half-tracks. But what we may find here, if YueJin plays this right, is the Flampanzer annihilating these rifle squads and causing mass surrender in this town, because there is not a single bazooka squad available down here just yet. He's like ZhukoDim's only relying on this M4, and if the M4 dies for whatever reason, it's going to be in big trouble. Ooh, the Flampanzer taking almost a direct shot there from the M4. Needs to get out of line of sight of that and in range with his flamethrower onto these rifles so that his Panzergrenadier can stay alive. So he burns the rifles out of that building. That's the start. The mortar carrier still going for the shots onto the Ranger leader there and the M1 gun. It looks like the Marder 3 has the range that it needs to engage the M1 gun without the M1 gun firing back, which is great. M4 hanging around the top side of the town, but that needs to find line of sight onto these units. Otherwise, YueJin has quite a punching force here. Especially, like I said before, without any like bazookas in this town. Like a Ranger Marauder squad would help out a lot. We don't see that just yet. So yeah, it's just a matter of this M4 finding the shots where it needs to. In the middle of the map, Panzergrenz is going to be pinning down rifles in the open as they are unloaded onto the road. We do see this mortar firing away, has found the range onto the M5 gun. However, that M5 gun might be able to fire back if it finds its own line of sight. Currently, the only reason YueJin's got his mortar carrier alive there is because the M5 gun is not in line of sight. So he needs to keep up that fire, otherwise the M5 gun might kill his mortar carrier. Okay, he's just going to be moving it out of line of sight. That's one way to do things. The M1 gun did find the shot onto the 251. Marder 3 almost killing off the M1 gun on the top side. Is going to find the kill. Very nice indeed. More command infantry coming into the bottom side. Replacing that is very important for YueJin, as he does not want his new squads of Panzer Grenadiers to surrender so easily. And it seems as though this half-track's going for the mortar kill again onto the M5 gun. And if that dies in the top side, that will leave a lot of opportunity for this Marder 3. However, both of the 251 half-tracks are gone now. But that is a dead M5 gun. Very, very well done by YueJin getting that kill. Panzergrenadiers are pinned down in the mid. He needs to make sure that he falls those back to stop them surrendering. However, it looks like the Marder 3 here does have him covered. Panzergrenadiers trying to move up to the edge of this tree line, revealing themselves to rifles and Ranger assaults. M4 Double D is sat well out of the town back here. This could be a big mistake from Zuko. because if he had it in the town, there's no way that YueJin would be able to use his Flampanzer so effectively. The M4 would quite simply just one-shot it at close range. I think Zuko is finally realizing this and starting to move his M4 back into position. But currently, that Flampanzer could definitely make a couple of these squads of rifles surrender very easily. +1 now for YueJin after ZhukoDim did hold that +1 for a little while. Marder 3 going to be trying to find the shot onto the M4. If it does, that would be absolutely fantastic for YueJin. Oh, he gets a bounce in there. We also see a Ranger Marauder dropped out. It's going to be very important for these Ranger Marauder squads to pay themselves off. But all the while, 107mm mortar going for the shots onto the Marder 3. This is actually very nice from ZhukoDim because it definitely reduces the accuracy of that Marder 3, and you can see just how much morale damage that is doing there. In the center of the map though, more Panzergrens arriving with another half track, and we see the Panzer 1C start to hammer these rifles. The mortar has found a kill onto another M1 gun. That is not good for ZhukoDim. ZhukoDim now very vulnerable to being ran over by a Panzer 1C Panzer 2 Lux combo. We have Panzer 1C coming in at the top side, we have a Panzer 1C moving in at the mid, got the 251 rolling in, Flampanzers finding shots onto these infantry, and the M4's come all the way down to the bottom side. It's completely out of position now. This Flampanzer's going to have a field day. It's rolling up. Can fire on the move, which is absolutely fantastic. Actually rolled in behind that building though. Not entirely sure I agree with that movement, but either way, doesn't matter. Panzer 1Cs are rolling on forwards, going to be trying to pin down these rifles, but the Marder 3 is going to be shooting at the M4. So I would assume what YueJin will try and do here is have this M4 engage this Panzer 1, and then the Marder 3 can engage the M4 once it stops. Machine gun on the Marder 3 taking care of these rifles, which is good. Oh, still bouncing on the M4. He really needs that kill. If he takes out that M4, Zuko's going to be in big trouble. We also see the Marder 3 finding shots onto the M4 at the bottom side now. So let's just keep an eye on both of these. Ammo explosion on that M4. This M4 is falling back as well. Is he in line of sight? Looks like he's just been saved by the smoke. But with that M4 dying near the town, this Flampanzer can just go wild. Can clean up the Ranger leaders, the rifles, Ranger assaults, all that good stuff, because there is not a Ranger Marauder squad in the bottom side of the map, which is, I feel, a massive mistake. You need at least one Zuka squad for something like this, especially against a division that specializes in Flampanzer pushes. And it looks like after 10 minutes and 13 seconds, Zuko's going to give up, and YueJin gets the victory. Wow. Now, I didn't think it was quite over by then. I still feel like Zuko could have played on a lot more in that game and maybe brought it back, because there wasn't a significant conquest lead for YueJin in that game. I don't know, I'm a bit confused there. I kind of feel like Zuko could have played on for a significant amount more. However, it got to the point where the 2nd Infantry had run out of a lot of Phase A forces. But that's not many kills for the 2nd Infantry player, and a lot of losses, especially these mortar carriers taking out the M5 guns and the M1 guns. That's a big deal. And also the Marder 3 is completely countering these M4s in the open. So fantastic job by YueJin there. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to the next game as much as I am. See if YueJin can have such a dominating victory once again. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.